Okay, guys, we've got a few things going on. First of all, we have Mercury going retrograde in hours' time, like in a few hours, 18th of June, and it's going to be retrograde until for 3 weeks, and that will be the July 12th. So we're in shadow already, and it's going to kick in. We've got a station at the moment. If you can see here, you can see that Mercury is 14 degrees of Cancer. So let's just do something here, and I'll get my pointer so we can see properly. Okay, so you've got here, you can see Mercury is 14 degrees of Cancer, and that's going to go retrograde, stationed. And today is the 17th of June 2020, and it's going retrograde in the sign of Cancer. So I'm just going to explain what the sign of Cancer means, how that works. So the retrograde Mercury in Cancer, it's where the flow of language in our daily interactions may get a bit, sort of, we just won't be as clear. Maybe it's going to be more difficult for us. The sign of Cancer is water, and it's the ruler is the moon. And what we have is that we've got it's where we can normally be a brilliant speaker, but we might get our words mixed up during this time, and we might find it difficult to have, find the proper words. I'm finding that at the moment, which is quite funny. I'm a Gemini, and I normally just flow, but my flow just feels a bit sort of stuck at the moment or impeded. But anyway, I'm going to make this video regardless. So it's, to do where we can be verbose, and we might feel a bit more or a lot more sensitive at this time. And it could be a time where we feel very touchy, and with the subjects that come up, and we've got conversations going on which can lead us to retreat. So this is probably a good time with what's going on in the world at the moment, to be honest with you, that we've had all of these, sort of protests going on, and we've had COVID and overreactions going on, quite rightly so in cases, and in other cases not so rightly so. But it's a place now where we're going to retreat, and we're going to go inward and look at what's going on for us. One of the things that I would say that people can get scared or think Mercury's retrograde, but there's quite a few planets retrograde at this time. And what retrogrades are, it's where we rewind and review and release and re-experience, re-evaluate, withdraw and go inward, and we witness and we become like the observer. We're able to, see things, and it's a time when we can go over old stuff and get things done, which is very good. We might want to control, our environment better, and we might also, be manipulative in our wording as a result of this placement of Mercury and Cancer going retrograde. And we don't want to mess around with people, so we need to be as clear as possible, or maybe not say anything if we think we're going to get ourselves into trouble, I think. And we may be all spending more time at home. This looks like what goes on when Mercury goes through in, transits retrograde through Cancer as well. And we might be getting on with our home stuff at this time. It's a brilliant placement for our domestic stuff and things that need attention. But for each of us, that's going to happen in a different house in our chart. So I'm going to look at that with you and explain to you what it means through the houses, give you an idea of what the houses mean so you can understand how that's working for you. So this is not a time to, be buying new things. Mercury retrograde, you don't want to buy, expensive tickets and traveling and stuff like that. You want to, go inward. You don't want to be going out buying electrical equipment that's going to cost you loads of money, and you want to look at your emails carefully before you send them. And we might have blips with communication at this time, and travel will also take longer during Mercury retrograde. But clearly with the COVID thing that we've had in the lockdown, it's like not a lot of people are on the roads, but still, if we've got to be somewhere, we can have travel issues. So Mercury retrograde is taking place in the watery sign of Cancer. So it's a lot to do with our emotions at this time. And it gives us time to think about the quality of life we would yearn for, and, and our loved ones as well. And it's where, it's highly intuitive when Mercury goes retrograde in water, in the sign of water as well. But it can sort of make us feel a bit out of place with our words, but that's okay as well. You might find your words are hard to get together during this period. There are a few other things going on is what I'd like to mention before I run through the houses. What we have is that we're going to have a solar eclipse. I'm just going to take this chart forward. You'll see here that you've got a station on the 1, 2, 3, 4th house, stationary, and then we'll go back. We're going to go forward. Watch this move here, Mercury, and we've got, it's retrograde now, and we go 1, 2, keeps going retrograde, 14, 13, and it's going to go back to 5 degrees. So I want you to see that first of all. And at the moment we have Venus, which is retrograde, and it's going to go forward on the 25th, I believe, of June. So let's see, where's Venus? Venus is 5 degrees, so that would have just come out. If we go back one, let's go back. Oh, there it is, retrograde. So Venus retrograde, 5 degrees. Mercury beginning to go retrograde, 13 degrees, and we're going to go a bit forward. And this is the 24th of June. And then we've got then on the 26th of June, we can see that we've kicked back into Venus going forward in the sign of Gemini. And then we've also got this retrograde that's going to be going on until the 25th. Let me double check that. The 12th of July. Okay, 12th of July, Mercury will go retrograde too. But what we do have, going back again, it's lovely, you can see all of the aspects move in the middle. The aspects show astrologers how the planets are communicating with each other. And something that a brilliant astrologer I know called Pacha, he mentioned the other day, which I really liked, that Mars can be seen as the can opener on the chart, because when Mars goes over planets or it touches contact with another planet, then it's opening up something, you know, it's a desire, and it's our, you know, where we're at war or where we have impulsiveness, and, you know, it's to do with our sexuality and many things, but it's our, you know, ultimate desires that we have in life. So, and we've got those both in Pisces at the moment, 20 degrees Neptune and 26 degrees. We've got Mars. Okay, so let's go forward or backwards because we're going to look at the eclipse. Okay, so the eclipse is happening and it's going to happen. You can see here that we've got the sun and the moon are going to be in the sign of Cancer, and we've got a solar eclipse at 0 degrees just of Cancer. And for me, I'm going to show you where that falls in my chart as well. But if we go back, because we want the moon, you can see the moon there, and then it hits, and it's a solar eclipse. So we can see how that's working out for humanity, but we'll also look at our own chart to see how this is working out for us individually. So you want to find 0 degrees of Cancer on your chart, and I'm going to show you my chart so that you understand. So let's go quickly now through the houses. So the first house of the chart, let's go to my next. I'm going to share. I'm going to stop share, and I'm going to share my screen again, and I'm going to go back to my chart here. Okay, so now this is my chart. So if you have your chart and if you have your time of birth, you're going to have your rising sign, and my rising sign is the sign of Scorpio. I'm 27 degrees Scorpio rising, and the reason I know that is the time. What we have is that the rising sign changes every couple of hours, so you do need your birth time to understand your chart and your place of birth as well, time, date, place. And you can get this from astro.com. I have an account there, but you can go to astro.com and get your own chart that will look like this. You put your time, date, place. In evolutionary astrology, we use porphyry. You can see there. People use different types of you know, sort of there's charts. You can use different systems, but in evolutionary astrology we use porphyry here. And so my chart, so what we're going to remember is that we're going to say that Mercury is in Cancer, so, and it's at 14 degrees, 15 degrees, 14, and it's going to go retrograde back to 5 degrees, and that will literally land on my Jupiter when it goes backwards retrograde, and then it will go forward again. The 0 degrees of Cancer is here for me. You can see my mouse, probably, the little hand. The 0 degrees is here. So it's going to conjunct the sun and the moon are going to, on the 21st, are going to be conjunct, and they're going to be here for me. So I'm going to understand what's taking place for me in my chart as a result. But that is deeper work. But the first house, it's happening for me. So I know that my 0 degrees, the solar eclipse 0 degrees of Cancer is in my 7th house, you see here, just, but it's tipping into my 8th, because we have, we basically, because of the system I'm using, it's not whole house I'm using. And then what we have is that Mercury is in the sign of Cancer for me, and my sign, that's for me, is my 8th house. So the houses and the meanings will be quite helpful to you. So the first house is to do with our self, and it's to do with our personal goals. It's to do with our physical body and our physical appearance. And it's also about new beginnings and new projects and our initial impulses. So with Mercury retrograde there, we'll be looking, you know, at our self-image and such like, in how that affects us, and we'll become more self-aware. We'll be going over ourselves inwardly. The second house is to do with self-worth and self-esteem, and the things we find of value, and our finances and possessions and our natural talents. It's where we like beautiful things, and you know, the Mercury transiting here means that we will be, you know, focusing on that area. We'll be going inward and looking at our values and our needs. We'll be reviewing them, because if we recall what I said earlier, that a retrograde, and it's to do with communication, and we've also got to take the idea that it's in the sign of Cancer as well. So it's complex, sort of, but you bring it all together, it's integration. Then the third house here is to do with early education, communications, short trips, immediate surroundings, and day-to-day interactions. And it's about community, neighbors and relatives, and our siblings or younger siblings, and or people who feel like our siblings. And it's clear communication, speaking, listening, and sharing information, and our day-to-day interactions. Then we've got, so again, you'll be going inward in that area. The fourth house is the area of home, family. It's our inner world and our emotional security, our self-image. It's our past memories, and it's also one of the parents. It's usually, you know, people say it's usually the mother, but it can be, you know, the father as well. It's connected to real estate, and it's, the focus is on our past down here. You know, it's to do, it's the lowest point of the chart. It's to do with the deepest in us, and where we bring a conscious approach in. The fifth house is to do with romance, fun, creativity, children, and our inner child, healthy expression. And it's also to do with our expressiveness, and our, you know, the spirit of the fifth is about risk-related activities. And it's a time when we look and see if we're having enough fun in our life. So again, we're going to go inward, and then, you know, when it comes out of retrograde and it goes forward in the middle of July, the 12th of July, then we basically start, you know, we can start moving ahead again in the areas where it's gone retrograde. But it's definitely where we're going to go inward, rewind, release, and review and relax. The sixth house is to do with our daily routines here, daily routines, work, relationships. It's our health and well-being. It's the top of the list for creating order and diligence, our work and projects, and our daily routines and how well they're working for us. So again, we'll be going inward and looking at those types of things, with it being going through the sixth house. Through the seventh house, what we have is the area of one-to-one relationships, and it's where, you know, it's both business and personal one-to-one relationships. It's not you know, just intimate relationships, but it's to do with, you know, partnership, business, and personal. And the focus is on other, and it's where we create harmony, and it's about equality, and that's top of our list when it's there. And it's a time to look at where we need to create more balance in our lives, and how we, you know, exchange with others. And so again, we'll be going inward and looking at that. We'll be going, eighth house is to do with our deep intimacy, our deep connections, endings and beginnings, death, regeneration, birth, and both physical and symbolic. So power struggles is to do with our shared resources, financial matters, and also embracing other and ourselves, connecting on a very deep feeling level and tapping into what's below the surface. It's a time to where we recognize and release habits, behaviors, or situations that no longer empower us. So we'll be looking at that, you know, when Mercury goes retrograde, we'll be looking at it from the inner perspective. The ninth house is here. And we've got, this is, you know, it's about philosophy, it's our belief systems, higher education, long distance travel, legal matters, and it's where we expand our horizons. And it's about connecting to people from other cultures and seeking out the meaning of life on a mental level, and also to do with the house of in-laws. The 10th house is our public image up here, and it's the highest point in the chart. And the 10th house tells you, you know, what your public image is in the world. So it's really good to look at that as well. And I do read charts. So, you know, I've been doing an offer whilst we've been on lockdown. I'll tell you about that at the end. So this is 10th house is the area of career. It's our long-term goals and what we want to accomplish in the world and how we want to be seen by others and our social standing and our influence. It's where we build our legacy and something to believe behind in society, and you know, where we want to be remembered. It's about our career goals and about making a commitment and consistent, and about time and progress. It's the house of authority figures. It's where we have teachers, bosses, fathers, you know, figures, patriarchy, law enforcement. The 11th house is to do with our hopes and dreams and our future visions, and it's where we share like-minded others around making a better future for all of us. And this is about group activities and networking and casual friendships, you know, not your close friendships, but casual. And we have a lot of those on Facebook, hey, social media. If you have an older sibling, this house can also be relevant. And then we got the 12th house, which is to do with our subconscious and our direct connection to source or God, anything, you know, beyond the realm and in other realms. And it's where we need time alone to connect with our higher selves, away from the hustle and bustle, and to forge ultimate understanding and oneness with humanity. And it's where we finish up a cycle, leaving behind anything that no longer serves our soul's journey on the next cycle. So if you're, so for instance, my 8th house, 14 degrees is in the sign of Cancer. So for you, you know, depending on your rising sign, Cancer could fall in any one of these houses. So what you want to establish first of all is your time of birth, and pull up a chart and see where 14 degrees of Cancer falls. And then it's going to go back to 5 degrees of, let me check that. Yeah, it's going to go back to 5 degrees, 12th of July. And then on the 12th of July, it will go direct at 5 degrees. And then the other thing that we want to look at, that solar eclipse, and that solar eclipse is going to be 0 degrees of Cancer. And you want to see where it falls. What is it falling on? Any planets? What other planets is it communicating with and talking to? But again, you might need help with that, or you may know how to do that yourself. So I think that's it for today. I think I've covered what I wanted to cover. And if you want help, then what I do is that I do chart readings. I use Evolutionary Astrologer, and I will be able to assist you in understanding your own chart, and we can record the session. Currently till the end of June, I'm doing $20 for an hour with me, but I also mentor and coach and, you know, help to decondition. So you can decondition through the chart, because you can see where your Chiron is the wound. Yeah, Chiron here is the wounded healer, the wound that we've come in with and that we have and that we want to heal, which is very important for us at this time. And then we can look at, you know, what is our career? What is our way forward? You know, what are we leaving behind? What are we letting go of? And, you know, what is our first house? So there's a lot of beautiful work in astrology, which I think, you know, really can guide us into a beautiful way of living and understanding and having compassion for other human beings and humanity, because we can see that we're all so unique. Not one of us are the same, so to speak. So that's it. I'll catch you later. I'm going to stop share, and I'll be back in a few days with something else. Okay, catch you later.